Thank you, Serena, for this opportunity. So, for those of you who has followed CoinGecko, basically we are a market data provider. But for this case, we had some research work that needs to be done on Ethereum Dataset. So this is more like sharing the experience that we face in terms of finding all these data points that are on Ethereum blockchain. We'd like to share with you the options that are out there. So in this case, we are not going to be interested in making transactions or making contract call and changing the state of the Ethereum blockchain. We're just going to get down to exploring the data that is already on the chain. And typically, the kind of data that you're interested in are like blocks and transactions, smart contract, like how much balance are in some contracts, the events that are emitted, list of addresses, and some events that were logged from the contract when something happened. So when we first got in, the most obvious thing to do is to run a full node, right? Your options are like geth or parity, and then you have that node running, have it synced up, which takes like a couple of weeks, and then run some RPC calls and turn that out into a CSV or some sort of data that you can use to consume. So this is great, you get full control, you have all access to data, but it's quite tedious for us who just want to get down to the data and get running immediately. The second best option is to use a node as a service. So you could run Impure, Alchemy, instead of running the node yourself, and then plug in the same way exactly of how you interact with a full node, using RPC calls, some code, churn out CSV. This is great, it kind of solves the purpose, but then again, it might be doing too much than what we expected. So the third option is to abstract everything out and consider using a third-party API service. So what they do is that the third-party API service will probably point out certain key things that people are interested in and abstract it out. So we only interact with a RESTful API to get like JSON or CSV for us to work and analyze those data. So a few examples that you could choose from are like Etherscan or Ember Data. You probably need to pay some sort of monthly subscription for some of this. Great thing is there's no setup, there's no need to work with full nodes, and these data are indexed. So you can quickly just grab all this data immediately based on what the third party offered. So the last one here, which is something that I think lots of people are not aware of, which I would like to share a little bit more because this is what we ended up using on our site, is the Bigquery Dataset for Ethereum. So I think this announcement was made end of last year, where Google had this initiative where they would index the entire Ethereum blockchain onto Bigquery, which makes it really easy to extract certain set of data. So the great thing about Google Bigquery is that the data that you extract, which could be as large as you want, can then be integrated with all the other Google services should you need to do so. And you could also export it out into a CSV or JSON, just like how you would deal with an API. So this is quite nifty. The difference here is that the data updates every 6 blocks, but this is kind of unofficial because you can't really find that kind of documentation out there. Documentation says that it updates every 24 hours, but based on my experimentation, it updates almost every 6 blocks, which is kind of good enough, not real time. You pay for per query, and it's good for non-developers. So if you have statisticians or people who are not technical, they could just get down to this without any setup of API to get those data up. So just an example, like if I want to find the addresses that have significant outbound transactions transfer for USDT, I could easily plug in a Bigquery SQLite instructions, make the call. Keep in mind that the charges is $5 per terabyte, so it really depends on how much data you extract. You could be a little bit smart in how you choose the keys that you want to query in order to save costs. But pretty much this is your constraint in terms of cost. And then you have your options. You want to export it to CSV, JSON, you could do so. And this is an art piece from that data point that I extracted out. Basically, the large circle that you see, which is not very clear, but those large circles shows addresses that has large amount of outbound transactions. So these may point out to be exchange addresses, if you will. So these are the kind of things that you can do in Bigquery. You could easily extract out data, pump it into a graphing solution, and get some data out of it. And then before I came for Devcon, I think someone was sharing something quite interesting, where imagine something like Bigquery, but it's social, where you can share the queries and the result around. And it also acts like a notebook, like a Jupyter notebook. I'm not sure if you've used some of this Python Jupyter notebook, where you could lay out text together with some explanation of data. And that service is called Dune Analytics. I highly encourage to check it out as well, because all these data are available out there for free. You can just quickly make queries, extract it out. And there's one example on this ferrying contract about how the ferrying contract affect the price of gas, and these are some interesting insights that people share. So I highly suggest that you guys check it out. So the key takeaway is that there's plenty of tools to choose from, all the way from having as much control as you want, over to as easy to get started. So there's always going to be trade-off, but it really depends on what your objective is. For us, we just want to get in, extract some data, make some analysis, we went to that side. But if we want to get more control on data, we could lean towards the other side of the spectrum. So really, there's no barrier entry for data analysts, statisticians, or developers to explore Ethereum Dataset. Just go out there, go crazy, and grab all this data and analyze all you want. Other than that, just a little note is that CoinGecko has a data API, not on-chain API, not on-chain data though, but market data only. You could use it if you like. And that's all I have for now. It's a quick highlight on the options for exploring dataset. I hope this is useful to you while we also continue to learn about this space as well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm open to any questions, and I'll try my best to answer this. Yeah.
What was the costs of using Bigquery for you? Like, how much did you pay when doing these analytics?
Right. So, yeah. So, for example, for this one, when you enter the query onto Bigquery, they will actually run an estimation of how much data you will process at the bottom right. So this is before you actually execute it. Google will tell you like how much gigabytes or terabytes of data you are using, and then you have to do the math yourself. So that it says here $5 per terabyte. I think the first 1 terabyte is free. So as long as you don't hit that threshold, you don't have to pay anything. But once you do hit them, then for everyone, you have to prorate $5 for every like bytes of 1 terabyte that you use. So it really depends on what you want to query out of it. But you could stay within the free tier if you are creative enough with the queries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you tried to run like this thing behind an API yourself, like other people accessing? Because
Yes.
I think it could become quite expensive in that case.
Yeah, so Bigquery is a data warehousing solution. So it's not supposed to be plugged into a front end, if I imagine.
Okay.
Most likely, if you're going to use this for an application, it will be like a background batch processing where you could control the flow of data or the query of the data rather than being queried by the outside world. So if in the Amazon side, I think they charge you for storage, but then you don't have to pay for query. But for Bigquery's case, if you put data in there, it's free. But every query that you make, they will charge you $5 for every terabyte.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, another question on the Bigquery side. Did you upload your APIs before to generate the queries? Or how do maybe token transfer is just a very standardized thing that is supported, but is it possible to get very fine-grained?
Yeah, so that's why in terms of control, maybe Bigquery may not give you everything that you want. So this is just some extra slides. So if you go into Bigquery, you could see the list of tables that they have indexed already on their site. So blocks is pretty obvious. It's blocks data. Contracts are contract with the bytecode. So I think you need the ABI itself on top of it once you extract this data out. Logs are contract events. Token transfers, which is the one that we use. These are tokens metadata. There's not much data in there. Parity traces, I haven't used them, so I don't really know what that is. Last one is transaction data, which is every Ethereum transaction that are out there. So you are constrained within this set of table. If this gives you what you want, you could go ahead and use it. Anything other than that, you might have to go up one level, API or nodes and stuff like that. Yeah.
The logs here, I think, will be binary, so you need to have the API to decode them.
Yeah, you have to decode the
I'm not sure if you can have a user-defined function to actually decode it. Like,
you probably have to do it yourself. So like one example of the kind of data you would get would be, I'm trying to see if I have anything here. Yeah, so you're probably going to get it in this form, right? So if you're a developer, you have to call the Web3 function and decode this into something that human understands. So you have to chop it up and things like that. Yeah. Right. Is there any other questions? All right, I guess we're good for now. Right, thank you very much.